Hi guys, so we'll be continuing from where we left off in the last video, and I'll be showing you some more problems based on electrostatics topic of EMT. So the first one, it is asking the capacitance of an isolated sphere of radius 10 centimeter. So first thing that you need to remember is the capacitance of a spherical capacitor and a cylindrical capacitor. Now when the capacitor is spherical, its capacitance is given as 4 pi epsilon naught 1 by A minus 1 by B, where A is the inner radius and B is the outer radius. Okay. Similarly, in case of cylindrical capacitor, the capacitance is 2 pi epsilon naught L ln B by A. Same thing, B is the outer radius, A is the inner radius, and L is the length. Now it is asking the capacitance of an isolated sphere, which means the inner radius is 10 centimeter or 0.1 meter, and the outer radius tends to infinity. That is, the outer sphere is kept at infinite radius. So what is capacitance? 4 pi epsilon naught by 1 upon A, or 4 pi epsilon naught A. What is 4 pi epsilon naught? It is 1 by 36 pi into 10 to the power minus 9. What is A? 0.1. So how much will this come out to be? It is 11.11 picofarad. Okay. So that will be the value, sorry, into 4 pi. So it will be 11.11 picofarad. So the answer here in the fill up will be 11.11. Is it fine? So remember these two expressions. One is the capacitance of spherical capacitor and other for cylindrical. The next one, we have to determine the electric field intensity for the arrangement shown. Here the distance R is given as 1 meter and A is given as 1 centimeter. Now if you carefully observe, R is much greater than A. It is 100 times of A, which means what I'll do is I'll consider the three distances. These two distances I'll also consider as R. Okay. So that is the distance of point P from all the three charges will be considered to be R. Now what is the electric field due to Q1? What is the electric field due to point charge? Q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R square. Now if you see, Q1 is a positive charge, so electric field will be away. So let me call this direction as AX cap, this one as AY cap. So its electric field will be in the direction AY cap. Now if you substitute the value 2000 into 10 to the power minus 12 by R square, that is 1 square, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power 9. So it will be 18 AY cap volt per meter. Okay. Now what is the electric field due to Q2? Now Q2 and Q3 have the same magnitude of charge, but their polarities are opposite. So the magnitude of electric field will be same. 1000 into 10 to the power minus 12, 9 into 10 to the power 9. Distance I am assuming as R. Sorry, 4 pi epsilon naught I have already counted. So 1 square. So it will be 9 volt per meter. But that is only the magnitude. What I also want is the direction. Q2 is a positive charge, so direction will be away. Q3 is a negative charge, so direction will be towards. So now if you see at point P, there are two electric fields, one away and one is towards. Suppose this is the angle theta. Now if you see, they are cancelling their vertical components, because vertical component of both the fields are opposite. but their horizontal components are in the same direction. So we'll only consider the horizontal component, but what I need first of all is the angle theta. Now if you see, this distance is basically how much? This is vertical distance is almost r, and this horizontal distance is a by 2. What I need actually is the sine theta. Sine theta will almost be equal to tan theta. Theta will be very small, which will be equal to a by 2 r. Okay. This angle is very small because this r is much greater than a. What is a by 2 r? That is 0.01 divided by 2 into r is 1. So 0.01 by 2. So what will be the total electric field? In y cap direction it is 18 ay. In ax cap direction it is 2 e. E is 9. Sine theta is 0.01 by 2. So it is how much? 0.09 ax cap plus 18 ay cap. Okay. So here I have made one approximation that r is 100 times of a. That is why this theta is very small. So sine theta and tan theta are almost equal. Okay. These sort of approximation should be very clear to you, because in exam if one distance is larger than other distance, and that too it is 20 to 30 times larger, then you can ignore the smaller distance. Okay. It will ease up your calculation and the answer will be almost exact. In the next one, it says an infinite number of charges each equal to q are placed along the x-axis at 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. We need to find the potential and electric field at x equal to 0 due to the system of charges. Now potential is a scalar quantity, so the potential at origin will be equal to sum of the potentials. So q by 4 pi epsilon naught r. For first charge the r is 1. For the second one 2. For the third one 4. For the fourth one 8. And like this. So this is basically a GP with common ratio half, and it is infinite GP. So first term divided by 1 minus r. Sum of the infinite GP is a upon 1 minus r, where r is the common ratio. So it will come out to be 2. So it will be q by 2 pi epsilon naught. Actually, if you are getting confused, how is the charge configuration? This is the point P where you have to evaluate. These are the charges at 1, at 2, at 4 and so on. Charges are placed like this. So the distance of first charge is 1, distance of second is 2, distance of third one is 4. Now electric field due to all the charges will be away from the charge because all are positive, which means electric field also lies in the same direction, so it will directly be added up. But here in electric field we have q by 4 pi epsilon r square. So 1 by 1 square, 1 by 2 square, 1 by 4 square, 1 by 8 square. So what is the difference here? Here common ratio is not 1 by 2, whether it is 1 by 2 square or 1 by 4. So what will be the sum of the infinite GP? Q by 4 pi epsilon naught 1 upon 1 minus common ratio 4 by 3, which is q by 3 pi epsilon naught. Okay, that will be the sum of the infinite GP. Is it fine? So that is how you can calculate the potential and electric field at origin. This is also called as principle of superposition, that is the potential and electric field due to all the charges have been directly added up. In the next one, it says when the plate area of a parallel plate capacitor is increased by keeping the voltage constant, the force between the plates. See, area increases, which means capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, which is epsilon A by D, capacitance also increases. But it is saying voltage is constant. So what is the charge? Charge is actually equal to how much? Charge is equal to CV. So charge also increases. Now how to calculate the force? Now to calculate the force on one plate, you have to take the electric field due to other plate. These plates have the charge Q and minus Q. So its charge density will be Q by A. So what will be the electric field due to a plate charge or a sheet charge? This electric field due to only one plate I am saying. I am not taking the electric field due to both the plates, because one plate cannot apply a force on itself. That is, if force exists between the plates of capacitor, then one plate has to apply the force on the other one. So you have to take electric field of the one plate multiplied by the charge of the other plate. What is the electric field of one plate? Q by A, that is the charge density, divided by 2 epsilon naught. So Q by 2A epsilon naught. What is the force? Force will be electric field into charge, this one. Now since one is positive, one is negative, the force will be attractive in nature. Okay. Now here if you see Q by A, it is epsilon V by D. It is constant because neither you are changing the voltage nor you are changing the distance between the plates. Only you are increasing the plate area. So it can be written as Q by A into Q by 2 epsilon naught. So as you said, since the charge Q is increasing, the force will increase. Okay. So if the charge increases, the force between the plates also increases. This term here is constant. Okay. So remember the expression for force between the plates of capacitor. You have to take electric field due to one plate multiplied by the charge of the other plate. In the next one, it says a charge plus Q is uniformly distributed throughout the volume of a dielectric sphere of radius r and dielectric constant epsilon r. Based on Gauss law, we have to determine the electric field as a function of distance r from the sphere, and we have to indicate the expression for critical point. Okay. See. So a charge of plus Q is uniformly distributed inside the volume. So we can define the volume charge density, that is charge upon volume. But remember, you can only apply this formula, that is charge upon volume is the charge density, when the charge is uniformly distributed. Okay. So it will be 3Q by 4 pi r cube. Okay. Now when you take a Gaussian surface with a radius r that lies inside the sphere, so what is the charge enclosed inside the Gaussian surface? The charge enclosed is charge density into volume of Gaussian surface. So it will be Q into R by capital R cube. That is the charge enclosed. Now if you apply Gauss law, D dot ds equal to charge enclosed. So what will be D dot ds? It is D into area. What is the area of Gaussian surface? 4 pi square. What is the charge enclosed? This one. So D will come out to be QR by 4 pi r cube. Now what is electric field? D by epsilon naught epsilon r. So Q by 4 pi epsilon naught epsilon r into r cube. Now when you take the Gaussian surface that lies outside the sphere, what is the charge enclosed inside that surface? The total charge is enclosed. Again, if you apply Gauss law, d into 4 pi r square is the charge enclosed. So what is d? Q by 4 pi r square, which means what is E? Q by 4 pi epsilon naught epsilon r into r square. Okay. So that will be the charge enclosed. Sorry, that will be the electric field. Now, if you see, initially electric field was, sorry, this will be small r here actually, that is the radius of Gaussian surface. If you see, initially electric field was directly proportional to r, so it will be linearly increasing with r up to a distance capital R. Then it is inversely proportional to r square, so it will decrease hyperbolically with r. So what is the critical point? Critical point is this capital R. Okay. And one more thing, this graph is not absolutely correct. Why? Because we have to make one change, that is epsilon r. It will only be epsilon naught. So what change does that bring in the graph? I am removing this part. Earlier when you were calculating electric field, it was divided by epsilon r, but now it is not divided by epsilon r. That is, you will get a discontinuity like this. It will be increasing with respect to r, initially linearly increasing. Now as soon as you remove this epsilon r, it will increase suddenly. Then it will hyperbolically reduce with r. Okay. So that is, here we have a discontinuity. Why discontinuity? Because suddenly the medium of the electric field changes. It goes from a medium of epsilon r to a medium vacuum. Okay. If the medium was uniform, you will get a graph like this. If it is non-uniform, you will get the graph like this. So what I mean to say, here you have to take epsilon r equal to 1. Here epsilon r is not equal to 1. Did you understand? That is, whenever dielectric constant is removed, the electric field will suddenly jump. Moving forward, it is asking the electric field at point 1, 1, 0 due to a point charge at minus 1, 1, 1. So first let us evaluate r vector. R vector is basically position vector of the point minus position vector of the charge. So position vector of the point is ax cap plus ay cap, because z component is 0. Of the charge is minus ax cap plus ay cap plus az cap. So that is 2ax cap minus az cap. That is the r vector. So what is the electric field? Electric field will be q by 4 pi epsilon naught mod r cube into r vector. So what is the charge? 1 microcoulomb. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power 9 mod r cube, that is under root 2 square plus 1 square, that is mod r cube, into 2ax minus az. Okay, that will be the mod r. So how much will this come out to be? 9 into 10 to the power 3 divided by root 5 cube into 2 I cap minus k cap. Or what you can do is, if you want to write in simple terms, the answer would be B. If you don't put this, 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power 9. 1 minute. The answer would be, sorry, it won't be B, it will actually be A. Because we have root 5 cube, that is 5 root 5. This value is actually equal to 5 root 5. So the answer would be A. In the next one, it says the potential in free space is given to us. We need to find the magnitude and direction of electric field at 1 comma minus 1 comma 1. See, electric field is nothing but it is negative of gradient of potential. So what is the gradient of potential here? Let me write down the expression as well. In rectangular coordinates it will be del v by del x I cap, del v by del y j cap, del v by del z k cap. So what is the derivative with respect to x? 100x. With respect to y? 100y. With respect to z? 100z. Now it is asking you the value at 1 comma minus 1 comma 1. So it is 100, x is 1, y is minus 1, z is also 1. So it will be 100 minus I plus j minus k. So what is the magnitude? 100 1 square plus 1 square plus 1 square, that is 100 root 3. Okay. And what about the direction? The direction is the unit vector in the direction of electric field. Unit vector will be divided by root 3. So minus I plus j minus k, which means the answer that I think is not given in any of the options. So it will not match any of the options. The answer would be direction is minus I plus j minus k by root 3 and the magnitude will be 100 root 3. In the next one, given a vector field f vector, what is the divergence theorem? So in vector calculus, the Gauss divergence theorem, or popularly only called as divergence theorem, it says that surface integral over a closed surface f dot ds is equal to volume integral over a volume bounded by surface S del dot f dv. Okay. So what will be the answer? The answer would be A. Okay. That is the basic statement of the Gauss divergence theorem. Next one. A point charge of 1 nanocoulomb is placed in a space with permittivity given to us. The potential difference between points VPQ at distance of 40 millimeter and 20 millimeter. Okay. What is VPQ basically? VPQ is actually VP minus VQ. What is VP minus VQ? When you calculate VP, it will be Q by 4 pi epsilon naught RP, or VQ is Q by 4 pi epsilon naught RQ. So what is Q? It is 1 nanocoulomb. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 9 into 10 to the power 9. 1 by RP. RP is 20 millimeter. So 2 centimeter, or sorry 40, 0.04, 0.02. So it is 9 by 0.04, that is minus 225 volt. So the answer would come out to be B. Okay. In potential there is no concept of direction, so you can directly find the potential and subtract them to get the final result. Moving on to next problem, it says a parallel plate capacitor has an electrode area with spacing is given and the dielectric permittivity is given. We know the charge, we need to find the energy stored. So in a capacitor, how you can find energy stored? There are three formulae: half QV, half Q square by C, and half C V square. So the capacitance, here I know the charge, so it is better that I find the capacitance. For a parallel plate, capacitance is epsilon A by D. Epsilon is given to me 8.85 10 to the power minus 12. Area 100 millimeter square, that is 10 to the power minus 4. D is 10 to the power minus 4. So capacitance is 8.85 picofarad. What is the energy stored? Half charge square. Basically, I think it should be half CV square. This should be not the charge, this should be voltage. Okay, so I'll apply the third formula, half CV square, 8.85 10 to the power minus 12 into 100 square. So it will be 4.43 into 10 to the power minus 8 joule, or you can say 44.3 nanojoule. Okay, so that will be the energy stored in the capacitor. You need to remember all the three expressions for the energy stored inside a capacitor. Okay, so this will be all from this video, and we'll cover some more problems based on electrostatics in the next video. Thank you.